Side kick to the body, side kick to the leg, spinning side kick. All right, guys, I've had so many requests to teach how I defend the side kick. What are the numerous ways that you can use to defend the side kick? Doesn't matter if it's coming down low, up high, in the middle, spinning. Today, we're going to break down all the possible defenses, and there are many, to the side kick. So intro first, guys, and then straight into all the details. Alright, guys, we're talking about the defense to the side kick, spinning side kick, when it comes right down the middle. What's interesting about the side kick is really, when you think about it, a front kick comes directly out and a side kick comes directly out. How are they different? Why are people not dealing with them the same way? Well, I can answer for you very easy why people have trouble with the side kick, and most of it is stylistic differences from the front kick in terms of movement. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when people throw front kicks, you know, they're standing here and it's straight out. But for the side kick, they're bouncing, they're moving, they're all over the place, and then they're jamming the side kick in. But also, the front kick, which is attacking the exact same spot, is a little different in its power. In my opinion, let's say out of a scale of 10. On a front kick, personally, I can probably create a 6 power out of 10. When I turn over the side kick, I increase my pivot, which means now my leg can go that much further. So the kick feels like it's picked up some intensity, and now on a scale of 10, I'm more like 8. And then if I throw a spinning side kick, I can gain a lot of momentum, I come around, and now I'm at like 9 or 10 for my maximum power shot. So people get used to dealing with a front kick a certain way with a certain amount of power, and then a kick comes that's all of a sudden 20-30% more power, and people are going, oh shoot, I wasn't ready for this, what's happening? So we're breaking down today how I deal with side kicks, because guys, it's really not that difficult. And personally, I don't think side kicks are that devastating. If I have somebody who comes at me with a side kick game, like I did in pretty much all my fights in China, the guys come out with a lot of side kicks, I prepared for it, not a big deal. So let's start, guys, very simple, with a side kick down to the knee. When somebody side kicks at your knee, how are you dealing with this? Well, we don't want to get our hands involved. No hands when low kicks are coming. That's just a general rule of thumb because you open up your head. So that leaves us with basically two options. Number one, when I see the kick coming, I just hollow out my hips and I back up. When I do this, I need to make sure my lead leg does not straighten out on the off chance the guy still follows through and has a lot of power, because now I'm going to get my knee hyperextended. So my leg, which was bent, stays bent, so if it gets hit now, it's still stable and it's not going to take any real damage. My back leg is doing no movement on this. Now, number two, if it's coming down to my leg, is to very simply just lift my leg straight up the middle, almost like an incorrect check. Normally when we check a low kick, we go 45 or 45. All I have to do is lift my leg straight up the middle, and not too high either. If I lift too high and they catch me down in the shin, my leg's going to kind of buckle out. I just want to get my knee basically up in the way so that they end up side kicking that. Doesn't score for them at all, probably doesn't feel great on the bottom of their foot, and it puts me in a nice position, most importantly, to block and follow up with my counters. Side kicks to the knee, in my opinion, are kind of a jerk move. I don't like throwing them. I don't like seeing other people throw them, but the block is pretty basic. There's nothing fancy behind it. Move out of the way or just get your knee up and block like that. And if worse comes to worse and you know it's going to hit your knee, then you really bend and you just make sure you throw a shot so you're scoring as they score on your thigh. But most likely, the punch, even if it doesn't land, will give you the opportunity to follow up and hopefully win the exchange. Now, guys, we're moving into body level side kicks. This is where we have to be a little bit more detailed. And my go-to strategy the first time I was fighting in China, on the first couple side kicks, before I got my bearings in the fight and I wanted to take any real risks, because as soon as you lower your hands, as soon as you catch, you're taking somewhat of a risk. So I just kept my hands up. If my hands are right here, the worst that's going to happen is I'm going to get knocked backwards. The side kick comes, it hits me, my arms are here. All I have to remember is that I don't keep my feet planted. If I stand here, I keep my elbows up the middle, and I keep my feet completely planted to the ground, I'm going to get knocked on my bum. But if I simply remember when they side kick me, just like always, I get pushed back, my back leg moves first, and then I catch myself. It's not really the ideal block, but it's definitely better than getting kicked in the stomach. And as long as you stand your feet, they don't really score that much. Now, moving on from there, the next one that I like to utilize is just scooping the leg out. In the exact same way that if I throw a front kick, you're going to use your right hand to scoop my right leg. You're going to knock it out to the side and counter with the low kick. If I throw my side kick, Same thing, you use your right hand, you just bat it down, you knock it to the side, and then you chop with the low kick. This one will feel a little bit more difficult and a little more awkward because, like we said before, the power of the side kick increases and the distance is that much further. So if normally you're used to seeing a front kick come and you just do that, with the side kick, you've got to really tuck in and you've got to really throw that arm through with a bit more power to deal with the force that's coming at you. Now, if you don't like either of those options, forearms down the middle or scooping, your next option is to catch. But again, keeping in mind the distance is increased, so when I reach down and I catch, I have to make sure that I hollow my body out just a little further so I don't end up taking too much impact to the stomach. Once I've done that, I can do my sweep like always. I catch, I pull the leg off to the side, I step in, get my hand in their face, and I toss them onto their back. And guys, the final obvious way to deal with a side kick, if you see it coming, any technique if you see it coming, is just to take a simple step back and then to follow up with your own attack. But that one's so basic, I don't even really need to spell out how to do it. You see movement, you back up. Now let's move up to the side kick at head level. This is something that we don't see too often, and you're only gonna have high level martial arts practitioners, primarily karate guys, throw this. And when it comes to head level side kicks, I don't like getting too fancy. I don't like taking a lot of risks. You could try and scoop it and you could try and catch it, but both of those are risk-taking techniques. I just leave my hands up. It's not great, but if my hands are here and they hit me, and like before, I get hit to the body on the side kick, I just move back. At least I'm safe, at least I can deal with it. And to be honest, I've never had somebody throw a side kick, knock me backwards, do it again and again and again, because then I start initiating footwork and I make it harder for them to land against me. A lot of times it's just understanding range. Like if I'm standing here and I see this guy go to throw the side kick, I know from here he can't hit me in the head. He'll have to shuffle step, he'll have to do a mad shuffle step to cover distance, but the body is much easier. But to get up to the head, you're out of range. So you really have to commit to a side kick to the face. I have to really commit here. I have to almost cross my feet or really shuffle step in or just get closer, and then I can throw my side kick up. But it's a hard technique to land. That's why you don't see too many people knocking guys down with side kicks to head level. So as long as you keep your hands up and then you make adjustments after so they can't keep landing off your guard, you're going to be fine with head level side kicks. Now the spinning side kick, I know this is a harder one for most people, because normally when I throw a side kick, let's say I throw a right leg side kick and you scoop with your right hand, you're going to use your right hand to bat it to the side. But now if I'm kicking with my right leg, I come around and I throw my spinning side kick, the momentum coming in this way, especially if they don't connect their heel and they come right up the middle, it's almost like the kick's coming around. And then if you try and bat it to the side, there's so much energy coming this way almost that it becomes very difficult to move it. So I very rarely try to scoop spinning side kicks. I have two alternatives, both of which we haven't talked about with the previous ones. These could definitely work with a side kick, but I primarily like them for spinning side kicks. The first one is my hands are up. If I just go to block like this, or like this, I find that this side of the body is still open. So I like to close everything off by utilizing my lead knee, and I just come across my body with the knee. Not right here where I leave this oblique open. I come right across, I cover my liver. Now if the kick comes right up the center, it's gonna sort of hit my thigh and slide off. And if they target my liver, it's gonna come and catch the knee. My hands stay up just in case the spinning side kick comes to head level, or they change it to a spinning hook kick. And then from there, yes, you're on one foot. Yes, the spinning side kick might knock you back slightly, but if somebody throws a spinning side kick and I'm like this, I end up usually just hopping, regaining my balance, and resetting my feet. The other alternative that I really prefer is catching an angle. Now you have to be very good at understanding when the spinning side kick comes. But if I go to spin towards you, you don't want to move that way into the spinning side kick because you might go directly into my heel. You want to go the opposite direction. You want to move that way. Almost like if I was throwing a spinning hook kick right now off this leg, you want to move away from the power source. Same thing on the spinning side kick. You see it coming, you move that way and slightly in. I like to get my hip right to my opponent's glute. So when I'm fighting an orthodox fighter, if you guys are facing towards me right now and you're going to throw a spinning side kick with your right leg, as soon as I see the spinning movement, this hand stays up in case it's a spinning back fist or a spinning hook kick, and I just catch a 45-degree angle here, which puts me right in tight, completely out of range. Usually their side kick will finish about right here because they were hoping to kick me in this spot, so I move myself out and in, and I'm completely out of the threat zone. And now from here, it's so easy for me to do whatever I want. I can hit them, I can angle off, get away, I can push them and follow up with my own kick. Spinning side kicks and side kicks in general, people have had very little, if any, success against me. And we're talking in competition, we're talking in sparring. I don't think I've ever been hit with a flush spinning side kick. That kind of winded me. I was like, oh. And it's just because I've used the tactics that we've talked about today: spinning technique, block, or angle, side kick down low, lift your knee up, or back up, or hollow out, up to head level. I just keep my hands here. Just defend nicely with those forearms, and then when I start to see it coming, I start to recognize it, I can just take that little step back. And to the body, that's the one that you want to get really good at. We're scooping, we're catching, and generally trying to follow up with our sweep so they don't want to throw that side kick anymore. If I go to throw a side kick and then you sweep me out and I end up on my back, I'm going to go, well, I'm not doing that again. And same thing on the scoop. If I scoop, I don't let them get away without a counter. It's scoop and low kick. Every time they side kick me, they use their back leg. I scoop and I low kick. Side kick is used quite often in MMA now. You guys are used to seeing it. In kickboxing, you don't see it too much, but I really believe nobody's gonna have massive success against you if you drill how to defend it throughout your whole training camp. That's what I do every time I go to China. I drill defending the side kick over and over and over, and it hasn't been a big issue for me. Guys, I hope you enjoyed learning about the defense for the side kick, the spinning side kick. If you have another technique that you're struggling on and you want a defensive breakdown, a defensive episode, let me know in the comments below. Guys, if you haven't, give the video a like. Of course, get subscribed. Train hard, guys, and I'll see you back here soon for another video.